What's up, everybody? Welcome to the JBP, the John Browner Podcast. Good on good, and what's the end game or the topic for today's show? It is Friday. Friday. What's up, y'all? There I am. Here I is, as I like to say. Dude, when I put this show together in the morning, sometimes I run across some funny stuff like right before I start the show. And today I ran across two really funny stories right before I started the show. So I'm gonna tell I'm gonna tell these two. One's an opinion. One's an opinion about something that's happening on social, and the other is a funny story that I came across this morning. Uh, but before I get to any of that, I want you guys to hear me out. The show today is everywhere. The show is getting around. The show's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X accounts. Okay, shout out to the Sporting Tribune. I'm part of the Sporting Tribune. Sporting Tribune's part of me. We're partners. We partners. So shout out to the Sporting Tribune, where this show airs on YouTube and X, as well as my accounts. If you want to have any conversation with me long form, all you got to do is head over to my email, the johnbrownerpodcast@gmail.com. I check it. That's where my bills go. So my bills go there, so you should go there. If you have any questions or complaints, you can complain there too. Make it a really long complaint. I'll read about a sentence of it. So, do what you will with that information. As always, I try to tell people the show is on the road to 500 subscribers. Right now, we are at 370 something, I think, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. Maybe I got a couple, maybe I lost a couple, but I'll check it and find out. But we're trying to get to 500 subscribers so we can monetize the show, so the show can pay for itself. We got some sponsors. We've had some good conversations the last couple of days. So we'll have some sponsors jumping in here as well to help make the show better, crisper. We made it now, start doing some on locations, really trying to make the show feel like an authentic pod, so to speak, even though it already does. Always, as well, like the show on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast to help me get to 500 subscribers. Also on iTunes, you can find the John Browner Podcast as well if you want to listen to the show while you jog or work or whatever it is you may do. So shout out to everybody who's been a part of the show so far. Like I always say, the show is growing, and the show would not be growing as much as it is without you guys. So you guys played the biggest part in the show of coming here every day and just helping the show move forward. Shout out to the chat pack. Special shout out to my dog Tito. Gave me this hat. Alan Vigil. Also, shout out to Tito for showing up last night at the Comedy for a Cause that we did last night to build the houses in Mexico. Baja, to be exact. And so it was very good crowd. A lot of fun. Really, really good set. I feel like I got a really good set off last night. And so a lot of fun to be had all around. So shout out to Tito for going to Comedy for a Cause. Very, very good people. Very, very good room. A lot of laughs, a lot of energy. So if you missed out, I got another stand-up coming later in September. I'm headlining. I'll do a much better job of promoting that. Not because I didn't do a job promoting this. It was just difficult with the link and all this other stuff. So with the show coming up in September, I will 100% give you guys a lot. It's at Long Ball. So, it's at Long Ball. But yeah. So let's dig into some of the stuff that I have today. Let's start here. Okay, so I have two stories. Two hilarious stories. One is about the Drewski skit, and one is about this guy by the name of Dejon Love. I'm going to try to tell the Dejon version of this story in about 3 minutes. So Dejon Love is a man who was arrested for scamming women for money because they believed he was an NFL player. Bro, this is a true story. And this is like, remember the Nigerian prince scam? You said, I'm a Nigerian prince. For whatever reason, I need you to send me $500, $400, $1,000, whatever the number was. And I'll give you back tenfold, in 3 weeks. Do you remember this scam? The Nigerian prince scam was one of the funniest scams ever. And if you got scammed by the Nigerian prince scam, that's on you. If you got scammed by, because I wrote his name down, Dejan Love for $1.3 million over 4 years. He started to scam in 2002. If you got scammed by this man, it's on you. Why are you lending NFL players money? The guy wasn't even in the NFL. He used his social media account with say he played for the 49ers, was renting luxury car. Like, again, this, if you go to this page, it's hilarious. It's an Instagram page. It's hilarious. I always set out to raise this versus everyone. I always say, you can only really scam someone who wants to believe. That's why we're in the current situation with our president. We can only be scammed if we want to believe. These women, because he scammed all women, the women he scammed were so desperate to be with an NFL player that they sent him tens, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars as loans, I'm assuming, thinking that they'd get it back. Man, listen, go to this man's Instagram page at some point. You will get the laugh of your life. There is no way, there is absolutely, positively no way, if you've ever seen a football game, that you believe this man was an NFL football player. He scammed so many thirsty-ass females that they had to catch him at an airport because he was on his way up out of here. Buddy was scamming so many females. He made $1.3 million since 2024. He was posting workout videos. He was ripping other Instagrams, posting them as his in the locker room and on the field. Like, it's so funny. A simple Google search would have fixed this. If you are about to send somebody $100,000, just Google the situation, man. This is a PSA for anyone that's asked you for money. Just Google it. If someone tells you I'm in the NFL and I'm waiting for my money to go through, just Google them. Did he ever play college football? When did he get drafted? Oh, he wasn't drafted. Oh, has he made a practice squad? Like, you know how easy it must have been. Because when you see these videos, like he's got this workout video on the beach where he's running in the sand with a football helmet on. His financial advisor was 14 years old. Like, I found this to be funny. I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. Not that these women got scammed, but that who scammed them. When you see who scammed these women, it will turn into a joke. It will turn into comedy because as I was looking through this man's page, it didn't seem real. I was like, yo, this is a bit. There's no way people fell for this. Like, at one point, he's showing you his broken finger. There's no stint on it. It doesn't bend weird like Billy Ray's finger used to bend like crazy weird. Or you'll see like Lawrence Taylor's got these weird like fingers, or offensive line will have these. None of that. Wide receivers also have like bendable pinkies from catching the ball and dislocating their thumbs and index fingers from catching the ball at the point of it. It's like, oh, my finger's broken. Dejan Love, look it up. Just put in NFL, fake NFL player, and the rest will take care of itself. That's number one. Number two, if you've seen this Drewski CTE skit and the people upset about the Drewski CTE skit, buddy, if you're mad, and I'm specifically talking about TJ Ward. TJ Ward is on Speakeasy, which is a show that Sam Ocho is basically the producer of. And on this show, TJ Ward says CTE is not funny. It's the only disease that people get to make fun of. Bro, CTE is the only disease that you signed up for. Nobody signs up for cancer. Nobody signs up for HIV, man. Nobody signs up for dementia. You signed up for CTE to play football. And everybody who plays football at this point knows the risk. If you've been playing football since 2010, buddy, you know the risk. There are nothing's hidden about football. You know what you're getting into. And for TJ Ward, I guarantee you TJ Ward laughed at every single Drewski sketch until this one. Now it's not funny. That shit is hilarious. The Drewski skit is the CTE Drewski skit. It's hilarious. Sorry, it just is. If you don't think the Drewski CTE skit is funny, then you need to get a sense of humor. At some point, we have to understand that comedy is about giving people a point of view at something or a look at something where either A, you don't have any insight on it, experience with it, or you haven't seen it from a different point of view. And if you took what Drewski did with the CTE skit and you think that that's inappropriate as a football player, bro, this particular player was literally headhunting Cam Newton on multiple occasions. Like, look it up. So should I be mad at Drewski for making fun of it or for you for trying to cause it? Like, well, all right, bro. All right, bro. That's the part I don't understand. Should I be mad at Drewski for making fun of it, or should I be mad at you for trying to cause it in other players? I found that to be funny. So those are two funny things you guys could check out today if you get some time. The Drewski skit and this guy who scammed a bunch of women out of $1.3 million who believed he was an NFL player. Sometimes I see things and I laugh and I go, there's no way that's real. And it's real. That particular thing is real. This is the John Browner Podcast. As always, I'd like for you guys to subscribe to the show on YouTube, like the show, share the show if you can on X. I really appreciate it if you shared the show on X. Now, let's get down to, I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 to 11. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. Now, let's talk about last night's preseason action. I want to go over two games, or specifically two players. One, Fernando Mendoza, and two, Justin Herbert. If you're a Raider fan and you're looking at what you're seeing from Fernando Mendoza, and you hear anyone talking about, because Clint Kubiak did not announce a starter for week 1, and I think that is smart for strategic reasons against the Dolphins, whether if they think it's Kirk Cousins or not. Fernando Mendoza started 37 games in college football. 37. This isn't like Anthony Richardson, who had 13. This isn't like Jamarcus Russell, who I think had 20 or something like that. He started 37 college football games. There's no amount of regular season reps he can watch somebody else play before he's ready. If you don't think Fernando Mendoza is ready, then you shouldn't have taken him number 1. If you're watching Ty Simpson play for the Rams, and that looks way sharper, way more on time, way more precise, with the same level of backups, and you mean to tell me you're not ready to start Fernando Mendoza? At some point, I'm going to start saying, look at the coaching staff. It's their responsibility to get him ready. My question to Raider fans, my question to the coaching staff, my question to the Raiders organization in general, what's the end game? The 2026-27 season for the Las Vegas Raiders, what's the end game? Is it to win A couple of games? Is it to win the Super Bowl? If you're in that organization and you think you have a realistic shot at winning the Super Bowl, then you should start Kirk Cousins. That I don't have a problem with that. If the Raiders were in camp feeling like and looking like a Super Bowl contender, you absolutely start Kirk Cousins. But if anybody would sway on that staff or in that organization can tell you that they are not a championship organization, there's no reason that you don't start Fernando Mendoza game 1 against the Dolphins. You're paying Kirk Cousins to play quarterback when the time comes. The time may come week 1 Monday. The time may come if Fernando Mendoza goes down. But that's what you're paying him for. You're not paying him to protect his feelings. He's a big boy who's made hundreds of millions of dollars playing quarterback. He can take it. This idea that you have to, let Fernando Mendoza watch. Watch what? The guy's got 37 college starts. He's been out there in the preseason. He's now throwing picks because he's trying to fit the ball in windows. He's getting sacked. He's running for his life. That's the experience that he needs. This morning, I can't remember who it was, but he was going over a breakdown of why the interception happened to Fernando Mendoza, and it was because he didn't put more energy into the play fake on the play action. And because of that, the linebackers didn't bite. And when the linebackers didn't bite, they dipped back into the cover 2, which made the throw harder and made the window tighter for him to throw in. He can only get those in game reps, live action. Because in practice, the coaches are saying, hey, you guys bite on that more so he can see what this play looks like in development behind you. In the game, they ain't giving you shit. So if you think Fernando Mendoza is going to be better by watching Kirk Cousins fail, that's a failure. There is no other option, in my opinion, other than to play Fernando Mendoza. If a guy like Fernando Mendoza isn't ready, then he will never be ready. 37 college starts, if that doesn't prepare you, then nothing will. And if nothing will, the only thing that can is live action participation. What's the Raiders' end game by not playing him? Because their schedule starting off with Miami is as easy as it can get. That's as easy. That's a layup, man. That's as easy as it can get. And if you don't think that is as easy as it can get, look down that schedule. So now you're going to start them on this games and not on these games because you think the game's going to be easier? The 49ers defense has been fantastic this preseason. That's a great team for him to get out there against. And for a couple of plays, he was running for his life. Because that's probably what's going to happen during the season. You need to see him play. I do not know. I do not know what is the Raiders' end game. What's the end game in starting Kirk Cousins for the 26-27 season? If you are not a Super Bowl contender, then you need to start developing the young players you have on your roster so you can see what you have going forward. Can Brock Bowers stay healthy? Is Ashton Genty that guy? Is this offensive line going to hold up? Or do we need to completely revamp it? Or do we need to interchange these pieces? Is Fernando Mendoza our quarterback for the future? What's the end game? Playing Kirk Cousins doesn't help you get to the end game. He's a rookie quarterback. There should be some struggles. That's what the coaching is for. Why do I keep hearing about Tom Brady being in the Raiders front office, being in the Raiders organization, if you can't have him come down and help coach this kid up week after week after week? David P., I'm not trying to get Mendoza killed. I'm trying to get the Raiders on track. What? Again, I asked David P., same question to you. What's the Raiders' end game? Raiders versus everyone. What is your organization's end game with playing Kirk Cousins? Where's the value in that? Where's the win in that? How is that going to help you be better going forward, which is what this roster is supposed to be about? Do you think, do you really think Fernando Mendoza playing week one against Miami puts him in danger going forward? I don't. Miami's not going to be very good. David P said, shout out to the chat pack checking in early. David P says, bruh, they got work to do before the kid can actually make a difference. Kirk Cousins ain't going to make no difference. What difference does Kirk Cousins make? You signed the number one center and you signed the number one center in free agency, Tyler Lindenbaum, I think is his name, off the Baltimore Ravens. You put your money where your mouth is on this offensive line easily. Put the prize pick behind it. I just don't believe you accomplish anything with Kirk Cousins. You don't accomplish anything by letting Fernando Mendoza watch. Kirk Cousins, it would be a great instrument or tool to have when Fernando Mendoza comes off the field and something's going wrong, because Kirk Cousins knows this offense and he's made mistakes in his offense. He can look at the tablet and go, okay, what did you see? Okay, now next time, look for this, look for this, look for this. It's all information overload. So to me, starting Kirk Cousins and having Kirk Cousins come off the sideline after throwing an interception, looking at the tablet, he's not going to turn over to Fernando Mendoza and be like, all right, man, so look, this is what I did wrong. Here. That's not what's happening, bro. What's the end game for the Raiders in playing Kirk Cousins if Fernando Mendoza isn't hurt? I just don't see the value in it. I really don't. I don't know how you could. This isn't like Patrick Mahomes was a virtually unknown. Patrick Mahomes was not the number one pick. Aaron Rodgers wasn't the number one pick. Jordan Love wasn't the number one pick. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. These guys who you say shouldn't start day one, right? All these stories that I get told about, oh, this guy had to sit, and this guy had to sit, and those guys weren't the number one pick. If you're going to tell me that you're going to sit the number one pick so you can win a couple of games to start the year, then I don't want you as my coach. You're not the guy I want going forward. If that's their organizational plan, they're going to fail because they're still protecting their jobs. Your job is to protect the organization. I am saying, and again, David P, just so I'm clear, because I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. David P's question is, wait, so are you saying that a rookie quarterback sitting watching a veteran has no benefit? That's what I'm saying. In this particular situation, Fernando Mendoza is going to learn nothing watching Kirk Cousins throw interceptions, watching Kirk Cousins throw balls in the dirt, watching Kirk Cousins throw incompletions. Fernando Mendoza is going to learn nothing. That is exactly what I'm saying. This is not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was not the number one pick. This is not Jordan Love. He was not the number one pick. This is not Tom Brady, who was a 6th round pick. Brock Purdy didn't start week one. This idea that the number one pick, a guy with 37 college starts, need to watch Kirk Cousins, that simply tells me that the coaching staff did not get this kid up to snuff and ready to play. That tells me that the coaching staff doesn't have the ability to form their offense around a particular player. It tells me that this offense is a one you have to fit in it. It will not fit around you. And that's not what I want with my number one pick. As the number one pick, I'm going to look at what you did at Indiana, and we're going to do that here. But we're going to do that here within the scheme of my offense. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to bend and work things to make it work for the players that you have. Forcing squares into round holes and round holes into squares doesn't work. That's not how great coaches work. Andy Reid can do his system with any quarterback. Donovan McNabb and Patrick Mahomes were two different quarterbacks. Alex Smith, Michael Vick, all these quarterbacks that Andy Reid has coached to success, completely different guys. Sean McVay coaching Jared Goff to the Super Bowl, completely different than coaching Matt Stafford to the Super Bowl. The 49ers coach, Kyle Shanahan, coaching Matt Ryan to an MVP, coaching Jimmy Garoppolo to the Super Bowl, and coaching Brock Purdy. Three completely different quarterbacks because they can form their offense around the player and not the other way around. This old school way of forcing guys to do your system, that failed. That doesn't work. Graham asked the even better question. What if they start him? There's all upside. There's nothing but upside if you start him because I believe he is a franchise. He's around the area of a franchise quarterback. I think that he can literally come out here, struggle for a couple of weeks, but through the struggles, learn where he needs to get better. You will have no idea where you need to get better until you get out there with the live bullets. And that's why I talked about the conversation I saw earlier today on, I think it was Get Up, about him not putting enough into the ball fake, which allowed the linebackers to not bite on the ball fake, to drop quicker into the zone, and therefore behind him made a tighter throw, which is why he threw the interception. You only get those reps in game activity because in practice, they're coaching you to your favor. They tell the linebackers, bite on this so you can see so the quarterback can see the development on this play down the field. You're not going to learn unless they do that. I don't think their offensive line is that bad. I don't think it's better. I don't think it's worse than last year. And you also forget, Aston Genty will be better this year. Brock Bowers is healthier. Brock Bowers, if not the best tight end, is one of the three best tight ends in football. So you have a safety net in Brock Bowers, and you have a high pick at running back in Aston Genty. You have I think it was like a $90 million center. They've made alterations to this offense. So it should be better. The offensive line should be better. If you've invested all this money in the center and draft capital in these linemen and they're still not good, then that tells me the person picking isn't the guy. I believe that the Raiders are in much better shape than they would have been. I think the Raiders are in much better shape the start of this year than they were last year. I don't think there's any difference between Geno Smith and Kirk Cousins. Yes, it's the Raiders. But at some point, every ship gets turned around, doesn't it? At one point, the Raiders were the glory franchise of the NFL. Just win, baby. Remember that? Remember just win, baby? Remember Al Davis? Remember that? Every organization, well, most organizations, have had high water times. You got a guy. The Raiders have a guy. I'm a believer in Fernando Mendoza, if you can't tell. I'm a believer in Fernando Mendoza. I want to see him out there and as active and ready as quick as possible. Playing Kirk Cousins doesn't do anything for Fernando Mendoza. It doesn't do anything for the Raider fan base. It doesn't do anything for the future of the organization. David P., bruh, you put a rookie in later in the season because the defense is hurt or injured. You don't do it when the defensive line is fresh. Bro, all right, cool. How will you know? Everybody ain't gonna always be limping, dog. If you need to soften everybody up to put this dude out there, then why'd you take him number one? You take a guy number one because you believe he's ready to go right now. Then the 37 college starts were worth nothing. It just tells me, David P., you're not a believer. That's all. And again, we always talk about quarterback sitting. Patrick Mahomes sat because he wasn't the number one pick. Tom Brady sat because he wasn't the number one pick. I can go down the line of guys who sat because they were not the number one pick. Peyton Manning, number one pick. Andrew Luck, number one pick. Caleb Williams, number one pick. Jamarcus Russell, number one pick. Cam Newton, number one pick. You see the trend? Trevor Lawrence, number one pick. You know what these guys all have in common? They played right out the gate. I think Jamarcus Russell played right out the gate. I'm almost positive he did, but if he didn't, that would be my one mistake. But Sam Darnold, number one pick, right out the gate. Shout out to Graham. Jared Goff, number one pick, played right out the gate. That's my argument. The number one pick, Baker Mayfield, right out the gate. I just believe if you trust this kid to take him as the number one pick, he plays. Sam Bradford had no knees. Number one pick, still played. Derek Carr, David Carr, the guy who played for the Texans, got sacked a bajillion times. Number one pick. Day one starter. You can go down the list, man. The number one pick starts. And if that tradition is broken by the Raiders this year, it just tells me about the Raiders coaching staff more than it does about the player. Yeah, David Carr being Derek Carr. Is it Derek Carr? Derek Carr getting sacked that many times will ruin anybody's career. Sorry, man. But I don't think that's going to happen to Fernando Mendoza. Offenses are different. They had him doing like 7-step drops. He gets sacked, they do another 7-step drop. Again, some of this is coaching. Some of this is coaching. Patience. All right. Cool. I'm just a believer, man. I'm a believer. And I want this kid to be good. I want this kid to get out there. I want this kid to learn. Every snap he doesn't take is a snap spent not learning. Live reps. Speaking of learning, what'd you learn about Herbert last night? Cannon. Also played right away. Now, it wasn't up to him, but he did. Cannon. Now, he dropped the handoff, but that's why you play these preseason games, because even he needs to get a couple snaps in there. I don't believe in the Chargers wide receivers. I just don't. Any of them. I think this offense will be 100% driven by the play of Justin Herbert and the new offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. I think, because you got to remember, Mike McDaniel hung 70 on a team with the Miami Dolphins as their head coach and their offensive coordinator. Now, you had Tyreek Hill, you had Jalen Waddle, so you had way better weapons, but you didn't have that Cannon Herbert. That throw last night, and I get it was the preseason, and if you look at the defense, no one even touched Quentin Johnson. He just ran literally from the line to the end zone. But that throw, when you see a guy can make that throw that deep, on time, on the money, what are we talking about? He made that throw on time, on the nose. Quentin Johnson never broke stride. That ball, I think, went 49 yards in the air, I think it was. Yeah. 49 to 50 something yards in the air. He never broke stride. I think this offense and this is why I think Herbert's going to be. I said this. I think Herbert's going to be the MVP. I said this because they don't have any superstar wide receivers. I believe Quentin Johnson at best is a below average wide receiver. He's hanging on the bus territory. And because they didn't bring anybody in the wide receiver room, they didn't bring back the experience of Keenan Allen. You're relying on guys who, Quentin Johnson, who you've seen drop balls, little Dede McConkey, who we've seen can't get open when it counts. What they did with Gaston last year and getting David Njoku, I think they're going to see a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. I think the run game is going to be extremely vital to the play action. But I think Mike McDaniel's offense, this Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel type offense, I think they're going to put the defense in chokehold. Because Justin Herbert can make every single throw. And when you can make every single throw, you can get by with subpar wide receivers. Tom Brady made a living out of it. So I'm not a believer in their skill positions, their wide receiver room. Not a believer. I love David Njoku, getting him over from Cleveland. I like what Gaston did, popping out of nowhere last year, but he was still playing in a preseason game. So I don't know how much they value him. But they've got a big old fat-ass fullback that can play tight end. I think they're going to be shockingly more run-heavy than people anticipate. And then when Justin Herbert has to rip that thing, boy, I'm telling you, man, I think that you're going to see an MVP year from Justin Herbert. And also, let me say this about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is in a category of no one cares what you do in the regular season anymore. He's not at the level that Josh Allen is at where no one cares about your regular season, or Lamar Jackson that no one cares about your regular season. But he's in a category of guys where no one cares about what you did in the regular season if you do not do well in the playoffs. If Justin Herbert can't get this team to win the division with Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel, then there's going to be a lot of question marks at the end of the season about Justin Herbert. Because the fact that the Chargers won 11 games, I think it was last year, with roughly no offensive line, no skill positions, just drop after drop from Quentin Johnston. Like I said, Gaston jumped out of nowhere. But outside of that, your running backs got hurt. Your wide receivers had the drops. The other one couldn't really get open. Your tight end had to come out of nowhere. And now you add a wizard in your offensive room, and now your coordinator. You add an experienced play caller who has put up points in other offenses across the league. Oh, yeah. With a guy who can make every throw within that offense, which might make Justin Herbert the most dangerous quarterback to ever play in this offense. Mike McDaniel's not some offshoot who doesn't know what he's doing. He's not some guy who got a job and you was like, yo, okay. Is this guy really good? Like, the offense works with the right quarterback. Mike McDaniel took Tua to the playoffs, dog. Mike McDaniel took the Miami Dolphins to the playoffs in back-to-back years with Tua as his quarterback. Now, I would say you're doing the exact opposite now. You have an unbelievable MVP-type quarterback and no wide receivers, where in Miami you had wide receivers but not a real superstar quarterback. On the Rams side of the game last night, I really didn't like what we saw from the Rams last night. I don't really think that there was any news. I think Ty Simpson showed that he was worth the first-round pick. I think Stetson Bennett's their backup. I don't really see anything out of the ordinary happening with the Rams. I think the Rams are pretty much set. The Rams only have one other thing to figure out. Is Aaron Donald going to make the announcement that he's coming back? Yes or no? Outside of that, everything's pretty much buttoned up with the Rams. And to be perfectly honest with you, everything's pretty much buttoned up with the Chargers because I think DJ is your backup quarterback. I don't think Trey Lance is the guy. I think DJ's the guy. I think DJ's your backup quarterback, and everything else, they're rotating positions anyway. Most of your wide receivers on the roster will get an opportunity. Most of your D tackles will get an opportunity. Most of your linebackers will get an opportunity. Most of your safeties will get an opportunity somewhere, whether it be special teams or through injury. So the only real things that were up for grabs last night were backup quarterback slots. And I told y'all after the second preseason game, I thought DJ Ugalele, or again, I can't pronounce it, but I thought that guy's your backup. Trey Lance just hasn't. I don't want to see Trey Lance running in a preseason. I want to see if you can throw the ball on time. And he didn't do that for me. So, we'll find out. 53. The cut day is what's today? It's the 28th. So the cut day is Monday. So with the cut day Monday, we're gonna find a lot out, man. We really are. We're gonna find a lot out on Monday. As always, man, subscribe to the podcast, the John Brown Podcast. I come to you Monday through Friday, 10 to 11. And we're getting close to 11 because we held past 10. Tonight, this weekend, give y'all my Padre coverage at this point. The Padres are in a very, very good series this weekend. The Padres will find themselves this weekend facing the Tampa Bay Rays. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Tampa Bay Rays are the number one team in the AL East. Hold on, let me pull this up so I can be 100% sure if this is true. But I think the Tampa Bay Rays lead the NL East. Yep. The Tampa Bay Rays at 79-54 lead the AL East by 4 games. They've got a 99% playoff probability. 99%. The Padres have a 65% chance of making the playoffs according to ESPN and all their nerd numbers. So you're going to see a good series. You're about to see some good on good. At 72-62, which, after where the Padres came from, that's pretty respectable. You're about to see some good on good this series. Tonight's game in particular, we got Casey Mize and they got Shane McClellan. Shane McClellan's got a 9-6 record with a 3.10 ERA. He's thrown 100 innings this year. He's got almost 100 strikes. Only giving up 8 home runs, 32 walks. That's like a 3-1 strikeout to walk ratio. So you got a good pitcher tonight. The data tells you that their matchup predictor has the Rays tonight 53% to 46%. And the Padres just coming off of losing 2 out of 3 at home against the Pirates and a bunch of really well-pitched games on both sides. I think you got to walk away with a series win here. You don't have to sweep, but you have to win the series. You're getting to this point in the season where you got to win the series. The Padres now are in that stretch of the series, or the stretch of the season where, let me pull this full schedule up. You're getting down to the end, man. You got these 3 against Tampa Bay, then you go from there to Cincinnati. And then you got New York coming here. So this series, you're going to see Mize, Buehler, and Ray. And by the way, again, the Padres pitching staff has been very, very good. Tito says he thinks we face Nick Martinez. Yep, Saturday, Nick Martinez. Former Padre pitcher. That's got to be a win. We got to leave Tampa Bay. The Padres have to leave Tampa Bay with 2 wins. Because where you stand in the wild card, because again, the Diamondbacks keep losing, but we already knew that was going to happen. That's why it was important to get in front of them. You're a game and a half ahead of the Diamondbacks. You got to walk out with wins, man. Spanish Fly says, looks like 3-6 stench for the Padres. I mean, if they lose 3-6 tonight, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. The Pirates pitching was very good. And again, Paul Skeens really found a good rhythm. And when Paul Skeens got in the rhythm out there, I think that shook a lot of the guys because some of those swings were terrible. But those were 3 really well-pitched games. You can get the ball out of there in Tampa Bay. You can hit home runs in Tampa Bay. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. That's all really in-depth we can do. See how it goes. Let me see where we at. And one more thing before I go, baby, BIG before I go. So, because we almost been at 46 minutes, and it's a Friday, so people got a thing to do. So let's wrap this thing up in a little bit. So I'll say this. Shout out to everybody who came through last night, Tito, and all the people who bought, Mike keeps tilting down. All the people who bought tickets last night to Comedy with the Cause. It's a great charity. It's a great thing for people to be going down and building homes in Mexico. Met some really good comics last night. So this weekend in sports, when we come back Monday, on Monday I would have been debuted on television. Well, let me hear my music. I will have debuted on television. I'm back on the tube, y'all. Let me shout out the chat pack. I don't think I did it today. Shout out to Sandra Bullock in the building as always. Carlos Galvez, Ask Technology, Tito, what it do, my boy? Thank you for the hat. Raiders versus everyone. The Twitch bots came in today. Shout out to Graham, David P., who we had a long conversation today. I think Spanish Fly checked in at some point. What a great week of shows, man. So next week I'm going to start having people on to talk football. I'm going to have Darren Carrington on Friday. I'm going to try to get Alex Padilla to come on next week. I'm going to try to get Eric Williams to come on next week as well. Tito hit me to somebody last night, a woman who does analytics. I reached out to her, see if I can get her on as well. We're going to have a lot of my Sporting Tribune brothers and sisters on as well. So the show's going to grow. I'm not going to fix that again. The show's going to grow. And you're going to see the growth of the show starting next week. Shout out to the chat pack. Big decisions coming up for the Raiders. We'll have plenty to talk about come next week, man. I'll holler at y'all. Peace.
Subscribe to the John Browner podcast on YouTube and download the podcast on iTunes. I know I don't look like him. Just go subscribe.